All right, well, what's up, Soul Warriors, and welcome to this Saturday night soul session with my good friend and I don't know, just a Soul Tribe member, and her name is Pamela Topjian. You guys know her. She's from Breakthrough Hypnotherapy. She's been given the Recovery Soul Food audience just a beautiful gift of hypnotherapy for a while now, and our friendship has been growing in leaps and bounds. And we often have these amazing conversations that really sow into both of our lives. You know, that's what a beautiful friendship and a real soul connection should do. You should always, it should feel balanced in a way that each one, gives and takes in the ways that feel amazing and comfortable to them. And that's what I love about Pamela Topjian, is that Pamela just has a beautiful self-awareness and just this amazing way of translating that into conversation, where she's much different than me. I like to hold you down and teach you, and Pamela has this just a beautiful, amazing, very personal way of just flowing information to you, and you're like, oh, I catch that. That's beautiful. So we just decided that this is a very impromptu live. We're going to talk about what is a spiritual awakening, and we're going to try to answer the question of how do I know I'm in one, or what does that even mean for me? That topic sells a lot of books now. It's on a lot of minds and hearts right now, especially coming out of this pandemic. Or are we even coming out of it? I mean, I feel more stressed than ever. But so we just wanted to tackle this topic tonight, because this is a conversation we would normally have. And so I want to share this soul session, just this beautiful conversation with you, with an amazing human being. So if you all are ready, and hey, stick around to the end of this video, because I've got a special video to show you tonight that I put together, that's going to answer some of those questions for you, and also tell you where you can reach out for help. So if you guys are ready for this Soul Food Saturday night conversation with Pamela Topjian of Breakthrough Hypnotherapy, then you know I'm ready. So let's go. Pamela Topjian, welcome.
Hi.
Hey, Larry Brown, Lisa Goldberg, Danier's in the house, and my brother Anthony McCauley is here. If anyone else is here and I don't see you here at StreamYard, just know StreamYard only shows us so many. If you're watching from the YouTube channel, thank you so much. And if you haven't subscribed to that already, please, Recovery Soul Food at youtube.com. Go check it out. Pamela, I'm grateful to have you here tonight.
I'm so grateful to be here. Thank you. I
We're
look
in this.
so white.
She looks
I look-
great, everybody. Tell her she's worried that her lighting's off, and I think she looks perfect. Perfect. A beautiful soul looks perfect in any light, I'm telling you. Hey,
Thank
I'm telling you, and this whole difference in this whole stuff, I'm doing it from my tablet now, so y'all may see me looking here, there, and everywhere trying to find the camera. So don't know if the internet's going to hold up. So y'all hang with us as long as you possibly can, because this is a beautiful conversation. This conversation we would have on like Tuesday at 1 p.m. There's just so much talk in mainstream media these days about spiritual awakening, awakening. I don't know. We've got some 9 years old. Hold on. 9 years old. What's up, Momo Gaming with animations? It's good to see you. So hey, we got folks of all kinds, and so I guess this is a conversation that could even be addressed to 9-year-olds. I mean, this is just a big topic right now in the world. Spiritual awakening. What does it mean? And you and I talk about this a lot. And, I want to give you my definition of what a spiritual awakening is. And then I want to hear what yours is. But I think that a spiritual awakening is just you waking up to, or coming to your own truth, asking deeper questions. Who am I? Why am I here? It's breaking away from that what it all means for everybody else. We run with the herd. We try to think like the herd. We try to do like the herd, and just not all the puzzle pieces fit. And sometimes, I know for me, I got to a situation where I had to break open. I was just in a place in my life where I just had to break open and start asking those deeper personal questions for me. And it didn't come in a moment filled with rainbows. It came in a moment in the question of, will I make it through this or not? So I'm interested in finding out what that means for you. What's your personal definition?
Well, I definitely agree that it's, becoming aware. It's becoming, it's like waking up to a different reality within yourself.
Mm,
So it's not, again, it's not rainbows and butterflies and everything. I think that it definitely comes from a moment of darkness, just like birth, really just like birth. It's like you wake up from your sleep with your eyes closed, or you come out, you're born. It's coming into your own self, your own reality for you, and not being, I think that when you're starting that, or you're coming to that, when you're, like you said, you're asking those deeper questions for yourself
mm-hmm.
rather than relying on the Facebook quizzes or
Yeah,
you know, or there's a million videos and books, and it's not that they're wrong, but
right.
it might help bring you to a little bit of awareness, or to start asking your own questions within yourself. So for me, it's really, I believe that a spiritual awakening is becoming aware that um, you're not this, that
Yeah.
you're part of something much bigger.
Mm,
And you are just, you're a spirit or a soul having that human experience here on earth. You're this universal being having the experience of this enclosed, embodiment on earth here. And
yeah.
it's limiting, and it's kind of a struggle, I think, once you realize that. So that's what I think it is.
Let's
In a
take
nutshell.
I think you're so right. I think it's beautifully said, as you always are able to lay things out in such a beautiful way. And I agree with you 1000%. Larry Brown, please be careful, and stay as always on the right side. Larry Brown is a sheriff's deputy.
Mm,
I always tease, because I never used to run to police officers, and Larry is my first police officer friend, and he does some really good work in a county close to mine, and so he's going out on a domestic call. And
mhm.
I hear about things like that, and let's move from there directly into how it is moments like that. But I think you
Mhm.
were in a domestic violence situation, in fact, that woke you
Yeah.
up. That
Yeah.
was your moment.
Yeah, I had to call somebody like him to be able to leave the house.
How ironic.
So, yeah, so being at that that lowest moment is really your catalyst for your awakening. I truly believe that. There's so many great metaphors for that. And I love to use the one of, the lotus that, it's in the mud, it's in the deep mud and the muck and the darkness, and it has to come through the water to bloom and look at the sun. And that's really, to me, that's a great metaphor for what it really is.
Yes, so true. Because I think when we try everything that men, I don't even know how to describe it, but I think, and you and I talked about this before, that we need to make sure that each person knows that it's a very personal situation for
Right.
you. Like, everything is, one person is not more awakened than the other. Or if somebody's saying, I don't really understand this right now, and I'm still trying, other things. There is no class system as far as awakening goes. And I don't
Right.
want, that's why I often push for the recovery community to come to a place where they begin to thank their addiction, because it was my addiction, it was my awakening to my own truth that really started having me ask those deeper questions. Because I realized in those moments where I couldn't breathe in the world anymore,
Mhm.
that here I am trying to do everything society says I should do. I'm trying to use their elixirs. I'm trying to use their information. I'm trying to use all of this very generalized information, but it's not getting through to the heart of me. I'll have, a few little spaces of time where it seems to be working out great. And then the real me comes knocking on the door again and saying, we're not satisfied. We're not satisfied. Like there's something else here that needs to come out. And so it was in those darkest moments, the mud moments where you can't see the
Yeah.
light, where you can't see a way out, that you begin to ask the bigger questions. Who am I? What is the purpose here? Why am I walking in two worlds, if you will, that world of the soul and this world of human experience, and what all of that means. And Pamela, I appreciate the information that you share with me personally, and with the Recovery Soul Food audience, because I think that each person that comes to Recovery Soul Food, they're in the midst of this experience. They're in the midst of, you know, they want more.
Asking those
So
questions. Yeah.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And the gift that you give this audience of that free full session of hypnotherapy, it, it just goes beyond gratitude for me, because I know what a tool that's been in my life, and what a passion project hypnotherapy is in your life, because
Yes.
that's your
Yes.
true purpose. And if you can, I know we've had you on before and we've talked about your story, but I really would like for you to put together how that whole awakening process brought you into that hypnotherapy and what that meant for you.
Well, I was, in a bad situation in my life, and I was a licensed nurse, which I still am. Are you okay?
Yeah.
Okay.
Tried to go down the wrong pipe. I just closed
Yeah.
it off. Here we are. Live TV, baby.
Yeah. So, in this bad situation and in nursing and trying to find something more holistic and more in line that felt right for me, um, then that's when took other classes, and this is back in 2010. And I took other classes for holistic health and found hypnotherapy through there and took off with hypnotherapy and just really fell in love with it. Just knew that it was, very powerful. And my instructors and anybody I practiced on, said that, it was that I was made for this and everything. And I really felt that inside of me too. It wasn't because of what other people said, it was what I felt inside of me. And I tried so many times to get that off the ground. And I just couldn't get it to happen for me. But then later, going through this terrible situation and then coming out of that and then still doing nursing work and not feeling it was the right fit for me for so many reasons. And that could be a whole nother show. But for so many reasons, knowing that that wasn't where I belonged. And I started
Mhm.
doing, well, first of all, before I even started doing like meditations and guided meditations and just really self hypnosis to try to figure out where am I supposed to be. I was in such anxiety and had such angst about this. And so talking about spiritual awakening is noticing the synchronicities and noticing where you are leading things, and noticing that there's not coincidences. So the first thing, um, I had seen Sacramento Hypnotherapy in Facebook, and I had just shared their page, and I said, I wish, I wish, I wish. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's where I want to be. Why has it been so long? I'm not there yet. And it was like,
Mm.
wow, there's a hypnotherapy place right here because I had moved across the country from Missouri to California near Sacramento. So I did that and I forgot about it. A year later, I was in school again for hypnotherapy. And then that came up on memories, it's like, oh my gosh, I put this out and I forgot about it. And it came back to me.
That seems to be the key to creation, though, is that
Yeah.
whole put it out and forget about it.
Hmm.
That whole situation, that seems to be how things actually come about. So it's
Hmm.
really, I think that whole, I think Facebook doesn't even really, well, maybe they do understand what they do, but showing those memories seem to always just come right on time when you're in that most frustrated part of, I feel like I'm stuck in the mud, I'm not moving anywhere, and
Hmm.
then all of a sudden you get this great memory that shows you. I mean, I got a memory from like 7 years ago that it was this very painful thing I had written. It was so
Yeah.
painful, and it took me right back to that place, and I remembered, oh man, I don't wake up in that misery every day. So
Hmm.
sometimes where we don't, there's not this one big sky opening up, beautiful thing of how far we've come. Sometimes something so, just so easy, like a Facebook memory, can remind
Right.
you that maybe you don't necessarily see a lot of physical manifestations, or maybe the physical manifestations that you see, like for us right now, being between homes, kind of unsure, kind of, all of those things, realizing that it has nothing to do with physical manifestations, it has everything to do with who you are inside,
Hmm.
that you have come so far, because
Right.
we're still locked in some ways in that whole 3D society reality that says this is this is success, this
Hmm.
is you've made it, this is, even when we get caught up in it in the recovery community, because we count our years. And then what
Right.
happens sometimes when we count our years and something happens, we end up paying more attention to that relapse, which to
Hmm.
me, I don't even like to sometimes even acknowledge those things in the way that, that's really a coping skill that you got pressed up against a really hard situation and you came out through instinct almost. And so,
Yeah.
it's really, I think that we get just, it's a fine line where we are when we walk in both worlds. And I think that is what a spiritual awakening encompasses, is that realize that you are in two places at once, basically, and that the hardest moments in your life are actually there not as a torture, but they're there to break you open to all that you are. I mean, just the beauty of you. And I see a good friend on, Pamela, and I really would like to personally kind of get her connected with you. That's Jennifer Hatcher. Now, let me tell you a little bit
Okay.
about Jennifer Hatcher. Jennifer Hatcher lost both of her children.
Mm.
We met in an outpatient treatment center, and I know she doesn't mind me sharing her story. I haven't seen her in a while, and I love you, Jennifer. I've had her on. She was my first guest ever on
Mm.
the YouTube channel, but she is a really beautiful human being. She lost her young son to a murder.
Mm.
And not too long after, I think maybe a year, Jennifer, or 2 years, her young daughter died of an overdose. And Jennifer herself has gotten herself out of a wheelchair. When I met her, she was 360 pounds. She was confined to a wheelchair for health problems. She still has health problems, but she gets
Mhm.
up every day. And sometimes Jennifer doesn't see the beauty or the strength in who she is. And I think
Mhm.
that hypnotherapy could really, I want to get with you after this and get with Jennifer and put you two together, and we will work out whatever it takes to help her with that. Because and I want to, I think this brings us into, for something that hard, for something that's that hard, people say, how can you imagine letting that be a good situation? Well, it's not that it's a good situation. It's not that the circumstances are good and that you're ever going to break open and just be happy about that. It's not about that. And I think the words, just young, very general words like good, aren't enough to really talk about what the break open of that is. And I've always told Jennifer that she has an amazing purpose, like
Mhm.
in the world, to really, you know, break open and be just this shining light in the world, because she is a beautiful human being. And, I think that sometimes we just can't see past the pain. I mean, I know I've been stuck there, Pamela. I can say, probably with 100% clarity, that you've probably been stuck there at times. You were in a relationship that you felt pretty stuck in for a while, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. More than once actually, but one of them was abusive, and I guess it took something really terrible to get me out of there, where I ended up having to call police just to get out of the house alive, really. But but I think that it's not a matter of thinking, I think you start to go through an awakening, if that's what we're calling it, is when you start to be able to see where that led you. Not so much that it was a good thing. Like you said, I'm so sorry that all of that has happened to you, Jennifer. There's also, though, that when you can come to the point of realizing where you have come from there, and it empowers you once you are away from that, to where you're not having, you're not depressed from it every day, or scared every day, or or being triggered all the time from it. Once you get past that point, and there is a grieving time, you do have to go through that. You have to feel those emotions. But
Yeah.
once you get past that, then you can realize that, where am I now compared to then? Like we were joking about those Facebook memories, but it's really true. You can say, wow, I was this low so long, down in that mud, and I know that feeling, and look where I am now. I'm not thinking about that every day. I'm not being triggered every day. I'm having another life. I'm doing things, like she got out of the wheelchair. I mean, there's all these moments of, look at all these great things that have happened that maybe wouldn't have happened, or maybe I would have gotten further down. Or you feel like you have so much more power. I know I'm very proud of myself for where I am now compared to where I was, and feeling like you're never going to be, not knowing if you're ever going to be any better or be well,
Yeah.
and, let alone much better than just being well.
Yeah.
So I think that once you can come to that realization, and once you can start asking those questions within yourself, what was that for? Once you can
Mm,
step back from
mm,
it a little bit and say, what was that about? What did I learn from that? How do I feel now from that? And talking about with my hypnotherapy journey, I know for a fact now that I would not be the hypnotherapist that I am now, or have the passion for it now, like I do now, had it happened for me in 2010 when I really
Yeah,
was trying for it. So much has happened since then, and it's made me a much better person for it. So, it's
absolutely.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant, I think that's a brilliant thing to bring up as well, because many times, and I know especially, I know especially for people who have come out of a great addiction that, we're so ready to start doing something good in society. We're so ready to kind of give back, or we're ready to get our feet off the ground, because generally when we talk about active addiction, we got to look back past that, and usually you're talking about people that have come from a hopelessness before the substance started. So when you start coming into recovery, and you wake up, and you really start realizing that, number one, you get past those initial really hard days when you feel like you're just not going to make it without using. You get through those things. You start standing on your own 2 feet. You're really ready to hit the ground running. The nature of addiction is push the button, get it now. And so we really,
right.
really think, okay, give me my purpose and I'm ready to
Mhm.
go there. I'm ready to do it. And I see this, I can call it a mistake. There are very few exceptions to the rule when we start seeing someone in very new recovery break out and begin to start doing something kind of like this, what we're doing.
Mhm.
It can very much, the heart begins in the right place, but then you realize pretty quickly what you're not prepared for. And sometimes when those things stand in our way and we don't understand them, like you said, later on, we
Mhm.
can get where we wanted to go and look back and really realize how unready we were for that initial success, so to speak. But I think every day that you spend growing, whether it whether anybody sees it or not, whether, especially if it's just you that's
Right, right.
experiencing your growth, I think that that is the most successful day. We want other people to see it and realize and give us the good job, but a lot of this work, I believe, is learning how to accept your own good job, accept your own validation for job well done,
Right.
and I think that that's a hard place for us as human beings to get to. We're basically taught and marketed to get the good jobs. Can you really helped me, I'll tell you, you really helped me in yesterday, and to let everybody know, Pamela and I have these very synchronistic moments a lot of times. I call Pamela my confirmation queen, which she doesn't even know that, because most of the times, I share a little bit with Pamela, or I don't share anything, and then I get this text from Pam or this post from Pam, and it's just like, oh cool, because I was going through that. And just yesterday, I wrote you about how stressful, it's been in all of this moving around and what's going to happen next. And I had that aha moment where I went past that and went to gratitude, thought, why am I living so far in the future? Like, why am I living in the worry of what's going to happen come the 24th versus living in the gratitude of right now? Because what ends up happening in this vicious cycle is, once I get to the 24th, I miss all of the stuff that I should have been appreciating during this time. And after, or right at the moment that I made that little pass, I saw a little message from you that says, "Hey, what about gratitude?" And this, I was like, "There's my confirmation queen showing up on time to let me know." And then I walked out early this morning. I mean, early, sun was dark and everything. And I heard all this noise and I clicked on my little headlamp and there were hundreds of frogs around me because there's a
Mm.
little bitty pond in front. And, and I thought, wow. And sometimes I look, spiritual animals and meanings, and that means rebirth. The spiritual significance of frogs like that are rebirth or transformation. And it just takes little things like
Ta-da.
that, becoming aware and bringing people in different energies into your life that are maybe on their own personal path but can understand those things. That's why, Pamela and I are able to chat because, I'm able to say something crazy like, I just got surrounded by frogs and that means rebirth. And whether Pamela thinks I'm cuckoo or not, she's like, yes, it does. If you think it does, it does. Congratulations. Oh, so hey Pam, let's take on this because Alicia Lee is here and she said
Okay.
that's her struggle, Elsie, not living in the moment anymore. I just feel here. And is this is a common place to be. Like, I bet that's how you were feeling in 2010 when you wanted something, but weren't able to get there. And I have been feeling that this past few months for sure. So talk about that.
So she says, not living in the moment anymore. I just feel here. So here is in the moment. So I'm not sure. I'm a little confused by what Alicia Lee means.
I bet you I know what Alicia feels. Here's what I bet, and Alicia, you tell me if I'm right. So there is a moment when you get turned on to kind of your purpose or passion. There is a moment when you feel like, oh, aha, this is what I think I'm here for. And you blow out the gate and you're running towards it and things really, because you're energized, you are fixed on this goal, you're feeling energized and you're going for it and you're going for it. And I bet you that, just like say in 2010 when you wanted hypnotherapy so bad but it just wasn't taken off, but yet it didn't
Right.
go away from your wanting. You
Right.
still wanted it, but things just were not just happening the way they were. The momentum maybe wasn't there in the beginning. And so there
Right.
comes this time, this gap. I call it the gap in the middle where you almost felt, and I'm going to say this because I know this feeling, you almost felt like things were easier before you had a dream. It's
Mm.
almost like the dream came and wait a second, things were much easier when I didn't have the dream to work for and wait for, because the waiting is what sucks. But I can say this, and I know that Pamela will have some good stuff to say to this too, Alicia. I can say this, as I understand you feeling that way. I really, really get it. And I was really in that space, and I turned it inward. And see, Lisa gets it too. So it's something that we all go for. And I really turned that inward, and I had to start realizing that my higher power within me was preparing me to be in the position that I know is meant for me. And when I made that realization, other than I'm not just spinning my wheels, in every moment of every day, I'm choosing to grow and be in this moment and surrender to the moment. And because sometimes we get ourselves locked in anxiety when we stay so focused on the big goal that we
Hmm.
don't realize that just because we think we're ready for it, we got to know that if it's not here yet, there's a greater purpose for that. And it's really
Absolutely. Yeah.
relaxing into that. So talk to us about that.
Well, this really reminds me of when I was in school, in Sacramento here. I was just, it felt like I'm kind of going through the motions, although it was awesome, meeting other people that were passionate for hypnotherapy and just being engrossed in hypnotherapy and learning new things and going through things that I had already learned as well and starting to work with people was really amazing. I just wanted so bad to get to the point of where I am now, wanted so bad. I was like, time couldn't move fast enough. And so this one day, one of my fellow students, we were outside for a break, and I said, "Oh my gosh, I just want to, time hop. I just want to get there now, and just feel so, I was still feeling so anxious about it." And he said, Pamela, stop. Look at that sign." And the sign said Sacramento Hypnotherapy. He said, "Look where you are. Look where you are." It's like, oh my gosh, yes, I'm here. I'm right where I want to be. So amazing, But even before that, like when I was driving to my first little event before school started, before my second, round of classes, I was driving there and my GPS said, 5 minutes to Sacramento Hypnotherapy or something. And I just had a moment of like, oh my gosh, this is really happening. I can't believe, what if I always think of time hopping for some reason. I thought, what if I just like dropped in this moment right now from 5 years ago and it said, 5 minutes to breakthrough not, it wasn't breakthrough hypnotherapy, Sacramento Hypnotherapy. But I was just like, I almost had to pull over because it just struck me like, oh my gosh, this is really happening. So the lesson in this is that you won't have those moments. You won't be able to enjoy the getting there if you just get there right away. You have to be able to know that there's a journey for a reason and it's preparing you. Like you said, so many people come out of recovery and they right away want to do something big and they see other people doing things like, I'm going to do that. That's my calling. I know it is. And I'm great at it. And I just want to jump right into it. But they're missing, the steps along the way. You
Yeah.
can't time hop, maybe you can. And I believe that can happen, but you don't want to get to your goal
Yeah.
before you go through that journey. you know
Yeah.
you, take a, just a very literal path of, taking a path through the woods or through a garden or some beautiful place. Do you want to get to the end right away? No, you want to go through each step. You want to see each tree and each stone and maybe the pond that's going to be there that you didn't even know was there, or those frogs. You wouldn't have seen those had you not been out on that walk. You want
Very.
to take those steps. And it's
Well,
just like writer's block or something too, or like an artist that has a block. You want to realize that something's going to happen between now and the time you get back to it that's going to make you better for what you're doing. Like I like to paint, and if I'm taking a long time getting finished with a painting, I think, you know, there's going to be something that comes to mind, or I'm going to see something in it that I haven't yet seen that's going to help it to be a better finished product than if I just rushed through it. The same thing with people that write.
yeah, for sure. And very true because, I think also there seems to be, I don't know, there just seems to be this moment, yes, Alicia, and it doesn't always seem like a beautiful journey, but I had to start asking myself when I was really stuck in that place, and right before Pamela and I, you know, became friends, I was in that place. I had become very stagnant, feeling very stuck, feeling like I know that I was called for this mission, but nothing is moving. And I would have all of these great, ideas and visions, but I would be so tied up in all this business that I ended up starting to resent the business that I was working in. I was resenting even the people around me. I would even start doing that human thing where I was thinking, "Well, this job is holding me back," or this thing. And really, all of these things are a real blessing. And if I'm able to step back, they're part of the bigger picture. But I also started asking myself, what do I believe as is inside of this end goal that's going to make me better? What is it that I think I'm going to feel then that I can't feel now? because it really is almost a bit of a facade, that because our brain wants to say, well, once I get to that place where the big end goal is, I'm going to feel like a better person. I'm going to be more loved. I'm going to be all of these things, or I'm going to feel accomplished, when there's so much at play in my life right now that I can feel all of those things. And what I have really come to know with everything within me is that whatever the thoughts and the emotions are, that I am truly energized by that feeling, because we say, well, I want that end goal because it's going to provide this, this, and this. But when we get frustrated about not being there, we're more connected with the frustration of the not being there. And that's one of the reasons that the carrot just keeps being just out of reach, is because we're not identified with the feeling of creating that end goal. We're identified with not being there yet. So I'm not enough yet. I don't deserve this yet. This is one of the reasons why hypnotherapy is so important to me, because I want to understand that deeper part of me, where those deeper issues live, where the distrust lives, where I'm still associated with all that past hurt that makes me feel like I've got to have this, this, and this, or be doing this, this, and this in order to feel validated. How can I bring those feelings into my life right now? And and something very tragic happened in that time. I just all of a sudden got this message that, my friend Yvonne, who had been the admin, that had been kind of taking care of a lot of stuff, the only stuff that was moving, she had been taken care of in my absence. I just got this random, very non-personal message that she was gone, that she passed away. And again, there was another one of those moments where okay, I've lost a friend. I have no idea what's happened to her. So my brain has that, thing where it wants to run away with me. And how can anything good come of this? Now it's all really going to fall apart. I'm like, I'm juggling these emotions, and I'm feeling bad about myself that I'm even thinking about myself in this moment and all of this stuff. And then I just kind of surrendered to the feeling that, all things and every situation, every moment happens for an amazing reason if I choose to be in that energy. And not soon after, here you come into my life. Now during that time, I had really worked on my own vibration. I had really worked on what I was talking about, the end goal is right now. And that my brain will still go there sometimes, and I have to just bring it back. But one of the most amazing thing that came out of that whole situation is our friendship, the type of conversations we get to have, the fact that things are really moving, and I trust that they're moving in the right timing. Because a lot of the amazing posts that most of you see, Pamela does. Pamela does those for me because she came along and she said, "Hey, I really believe in what you're doing. Your information resonates with what I'm doing, and how I'm reading, and stuff in my life, and I just love it. And I'd like to do a couple things." And I'm like, "What?" And then she started. It's like all of a sudden, where you felt stuck, when you kind of just release the stuckness to purpose, go through those hard emotions, visit those places of distrust, visit all of that stuff. Don't be afraid to visit it. Know it will not last forever, and just let it do its work. Let the dirt do its work,
Mhm.
and your seed begins to, start to formulate into something amazing. I got this great friend out of this whole thing. I've experienced great growth in this time at a pace that I like, even though I get frustrated sometimes. I like this pace. I know what the other pace brings. And I don't want to get there until I'm ready. I don't want to get there until my big power inside says we're ready. Um, because I don't want to lose it again, or I don't want to back away from it again because of those deep trust issues, those deep, feelings of I'm not enoughness. I mean, so, I just thank you that moment of fear really opened up to something that I truly, I'm just truly, truly grateful for in my life. A person I'm truly grateful for.
Two things that I want to say to Alicia Lee about that the journey is not always so pretty. Um, Two things. First, when I was in that abusive relationship and I had to call the police just to get out alive, and I spent a year, almost 2 years, in complete um, depression, anxiety, almost unable to take care of myself, just the lowest point ever. So I had to I don't know how to say this, but it's not I can look back now. It's not pretty at the time, and at the time I couldn't just give up to I know there's a reason. I didn't really
Yeah.
know if I would get out of that. But looking back on it, just know that looking back on it, there you will be able to see the reason. You will be able to realize so much about the parts that aren't so pretty later on. You will. And that's something too that hypnotherapy helps you with is to make those realizations. But another thing is, during the time of being in school for the second time for hypnotherapy was I literally, we would have these intensive in-person weekends. We did some online, but it was very intense, and I literally would vomit after those weekends. And it was just the mind-body connection. It was just so intense that I just had to release.
Mm,
And I expected it, and I could feel it. I was like, okay, good. Now it's good. Now I can go back over my notes and do my reading and do everything I had to do. But it was not fun. I mean, there was a lot of it that was great, but it was just a part of the path that was. It was not easy because I was reliving a lot of the times. It was kind of triggering for me for the way my life was when I was in school the first time. And it was kind of an angst of, oh, I've already done this. Let me get there already. And still doing nursing a lot of that time, and which was really terrible for me. But it was just that was not pretty. Those times were very intense and very intensive, and like I said, I literally was sick to my stomach after those classes. And I just knew what it was. It wasn't anything, it was every time. So it was just that build up and releasing everything that brought up in me. And then it was like, okay, now I can regurgitate this information and learn what I need to learn and get on with it and then go on to the next one. And so it's not always pretty, but it is sometimes it's necessary. And
oh,
again, the metaphor of the metaphor of the like the butterfly or the lotus, it's not pretty what's going on in that mud. It's not pretty what's going on in that cocoon, but what comes out of it, if you let it. So many people stay stuck down in that mud. They
yeah,
stay stuck in that cocoon. And that's, I think, bringing it full circle again, that's what I think that spiritual awakening is waking up, having those moments of oh, this is starting to make sense, or having those moments where you can step back from it without the emotion and say, oh, what's going on here? Oh, think I'm starting to get some of it. Some of that is what an awakening is.
yeah,
And it's within yourself, and nobody can have the same kind of experiences or the same kind of awakening. It's you realize a true spiritual awakening is all within you.
all
Your
within.
soul is, yeah, your soul is different than anybody else's. We're all connected, but your own personal thing is your own personal thing for a reason.
Yeah, yeah, very true. Beautifully said. Because I see, that. know, it says to me that I see Alicia going through it. I see Lisa going through it. I see, you know, and I really understand it. And I think that you said that well, because, you know, even though we go through a lot of things and, and, and we seem to, you know, they seem to mirror each other. Okay. We're all kind of, we're having this kind of hard time. It's all still really, really personal. And I think that, you know, again, some of that old programming, if you will, comes up and says that, you know, we have to make the stuff we read or the stuff that we watch it, you know, if we're not doing it just like that, then we're not doing it right, or what. And I just think that it is such a personal journey, that your
Yeah.
spiritual awakening is really your identifying your own identity. You know, who am I in this world, in this time? And, you know, it gives me, you know, purpose is what helps me get up out of bed. There are many times that, you know, it's no secret that winning Wednesdays are probably the best days of the week, because I get to come and connect in this beautiful community, and I get to feel like I'm sitting in my purpose and doing my purpose. And yeah, I'd love to be doing that 24 hours a day almost. Well, I think that now, but surely when it happens, you know, there's going to be something else that I want more, or, you know, I can get just as frustrated having to do that every day. So, you know, I just don't want anybody to fall into the trap that says when you get to that place, you have arrived and you don't have to fight anymore. You don't have to struggle anymore. You're not going to face anything. That's not even the truth, because new things are going to come up. That's part of this whole, you know, 3D human
Human
experience.
experience. Yes.
Exactly. And if we were to get to that place where we want to be, where the non-suffering, we kind of understand that without the suffering, you really don't appreciate. And so much, you know, light just is, and it lights up the darkness. And I mean, if we only had light, we couldn't have life. If we didn't have these cycles, life just could not exist. We could not live in the light 24/7. We couldn't. It's not possible. It's not humanly possible, nor is it humanly possible to live in the darkness for all that time. And I think that's why we come to this place, that place of angst where you are right now, that place of stuck, that place of feeling like I get to that point and then bam, I'm stopped cold. If that is a continuous thing to happen, there is a beautiful answer, or place to look within the bam. There's a great emotion, or there's a great mindset, or a great subconscious belief that somewhere in the bam. And for me, a lot of the ways that I get through little things like being stuck and bam is investigating them within myself. That's my practice. That's what helps me, because I'm an answerer. I like to have answers for things. And the most frustrating things in my life is when I don't have the answer, or I can't find the answer. I can drive myself purely crazy trying to find the answer so I can have that place of comfort. But I just don't want anyone to fall into the trap of just believing that, you know, that there is an external place you're going to get to, and that says you will not struggle anymore. And I always go back to me and money, because, you know, that was the thing I thought was going to fix everything, and realizing that money didn't fix anything other than paying the bills on time. You know, trust me when I tell you, not having the stress of that did not balance out the stress of everything else that I thought it would, because now I had a new stress, and my new stress was, damn, this ain't working. So now I got to go deeper within. I have to realize once again that external is not going to fix my problem, as I've done so many times in the past. I mean, how many things do I have to, love you, Alicia Lee? How many things do I have to, you know, stab at and fail before I get the lesson that, you know, true happiness begins within? And You know, a lot of these hard times, I think, show us who we truly are. And it's not fun. It never ever is. And you probably won't have someone throw a life preserver and pull you out all at once. You'll come out in stages, and you know, you'll come up, and then bam, you'll sit there for a minute, and then you'll come up some more, and you're gonna stay coming through there. And you know, Pam, you've, and I'm sure this is true in your life. You know, you're now living in the place where you wanted to be, and I'm sure that your
Close.
whole life is right. Your whole life is not perfection in this moment. That you still are. You got to be constantly growing, and so.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And when you have those moments of feeling stuck and those moments of that bam, something big happened, you're like, oh, I really didn't need this right now. Or, why again? Something else is in my way or whatever. When you have those moments, when you can stop and say, why is this happening? What is this showing me? What happened? Where was my mindset or what was going on the days before that? I don't know if you can hear this dog next to me is making noises, but um, but but when you can step back and say, now wait a minute, what was going on in my head? What was going on in my life? That's when you know that you're really growing and evolving, is when you can
Mhm.
step back from it just a minute, just take a moment and step away from that and think, where is this coming from? Why did this happen? And what can I learn from it? And what lesson is there to gain? Having, I've recently had a situation that you know about really well, that that I had to think of what is the best thing to do here, and this is not aligning with my energy, and I need to figure out the best way to take care of this, because I couldn't handle that anymore, and so I needed to figure out what is going to be the best way to take care of that and handle that. And and so you just have to step back from it and not just have a quick knee jerk reaction, and think about it for a minute, and and even meditate on it or pray on it, whatever is right and true for you,
Mhm.
and so you are this, like I said, you are this, this soul, this spiritual being, having to deal with living here in this confined body on earth, going through life. Um you still have to figure things out, and life is going to happen. And when you come to a point of, you know, when something is so terrible happens, or something maybe not so terrible, but something happens and you think, this is not in alignment with what might be an awakened person or anything, that there's some growth that's going to come out of it, because you've done that before. So once you go through things and you've come out on the other side, having learned from it and grown from it, then every time there is something, you say, wow, this is an opportunity to grow and learn more. So, what am
Yeah,
I going to learn about myself, or what am I going to learn about the world from this situation? So, it's
true.
really an opportunity. And I know that sounds a little, cliche and a little rainbowy, but,
But it's true.
but it's true. It is true.
Yeah, growth is a choice. We've said that growth is always a choice.
Right.
And
Right.
you can choose to stay connected with the stuckness. You can choose to stay connected with that, the victim mind that says, you know, every time I try I get stopped. And if you only stay right there, you can guarantee, this is what I've learned, you can guarantee that it's going to continue to happen, is because, you know, when you surrender, you're surrendering to something at all times. So are you surrendering to the, you know, the stuck? Are you surrendering to the depression? Or, you know, do you surrender to the learning opportunity? Do you
Right.
learn to see it as, I can choose to grow in this situation, or I can sit here and wait for it to come back? You know, and either
Absolutely. Yeah.
way, you're not a, I mean, you got to come down from that place that says I'm bad or good, the way I react here, or the way I am
Yeah.
here. This makes me bad or this makes me good. None of that, you know, really. So okay, so Lisa's asked a question. She says, how do we choose unstuck? I'm genuinely interested. And I think that we choose unstuck by surrendering to the growth. Maybe examine. This is how I would work it in my life. I would start to examine the emotions that have me feeling stuck. Are they emotions that I can identify? Or, and how did my, because see, emotions don't run on themselves. Emotions don't create, thoughts create, and thoughts create emotions. Emotions don't really create on their own. Thoughts create emotions. And so we always have to go back to what is the thought of stuck? Like, what in my mind is the stuckness? Where's my focus that says I'm stuck? And generally what I find in my own life is it's because I've got this destination I want to get to, and I have in my human mind decided how I'm going to get there, and it doesn't look like the path is going that way. So I feel stuck rather than trusting that higher power that's at work in my life, regardless of what I call it, regardless of how I connect it, regardless of what it is. I believe in a higher purpose for myself. And sometimes the way I've decided I'm going to get there, regardless of what it is, right now it's a house. I've decided I'm going to do something this way. Well, just don't seem to be coming in this way. So, okay, I'm going to surrender to move with life as it is and trust that it's going to unfold in a way that far surpasses what my human mind can even think up. That's how I choose unstuck. That's how I choose it. I choose to move my focus, fix my focus, if I will. How do you choose to get unstuck, Pam?
I think two things. One thing is I know that Lisa is an artist in herself. So do something you love. Do
Spices
something
emotion.
you love. Get away from that feeling and just change it to I'm just going to go away from that. I'm going to, she can do her art, write, you know, get it out of you so you can either, hyper focus on it and get it out of you and write it all out because I guarantee you something will come out that you were not thinking when you start writing it out. Or let go, do your art, or listen to music, or go for a walk. Something that gets you out of that little area of stuckness. Get
Great.
out of that and do something else. Or go deep into it and
Mm.
write it out or even write it out or type it out or speak to somebody about it even just get it out of you because once you start speaking or writing I promise you something's going to come out that you didn't know that you didn't
Oh,
realize that from
beautiful.
in your head thinking about it over and over but
That's
also I think focusing on something that you love doing get
beautiful.
away from it yeah. I
That
think
is.
the answers come like when you're in the shower, when you're in the tub, when you're meditating, when you're doing something else, when you're doing your art. The answers come then, not when you're thinking. That's not when the answers really come.
Yeah. I was definitely gonna say, um, phone a friend. I was definitely gonna say
Yeah.
phone a friend if you have someone that you trust is along the same path. Like I would definitely, I would phone up Pamela and just say
Yeah.
I am feeling stuck in this moment and would then, open up to kind of trust whatever she's telling me because I trust her heart. Um and yeah, that is so true that Pam does. I mean, your passion and drive to help people is very, very apparent, and that's one of the reasons that I do trust you so much. I trust you with my, with sharing things and open things because I do trust that your drive is to generally help, and I think that's a beautiful gift is when we have people in our lives. And if you feel like you don't have that person in your life just yet, it's okay. Just continue to work on you because remember your vibe attracts your tribe. I can tell you
Right.
what, I have really attracted some folks that I thought they were the answer, but really what they were was the answer to my vibration.
Yeah,
So,
or a stepping stone. You know,
absolutely.
there's people that come into your life, people and situations that are, you know, a stepping stone to where
Yeah.
you need to go. It's a bridge or a link or a stepping stone.
Absolutely. And to be great, you know, and as always, to be grateful for each one of those things, because
Hmm.
absolutely they, all of this brings us to these places. And you know, I think what we're here to do more than anything is to connect with one another, to connect with every side of ourselves, and to connect, just just connect with creation. You know, we're all these beautiful, you know, hearts, these expressions of, you know, truth in the earth as we are. And that's why we all get so miserable when we try to live by the rules of the herd, and when we try to be or make ourselves or mold ourselves into something we're not. That's where a lot of the unrest is. And you know, Lisa, as an artist, you said she's an artist. Well, I can believe that, because you know, those of us that are artists, as you know, Pamela, we are highly emotional people. We're highly sensitive. That's why so many people in active addiction and recovery are some of your greatest artists on earth, because they're
Hmm.
so connected to that spiritual side. They don't even realize how
Right,
connected
right.
they are to that spiritual side, and how they're walking in both worlds, and they don't even understand it. They just realize they don't fit in. And that sometimes
Yeah,
becomes this big, you know, I know it did for me, a musician, and you know, just always having a hand in creation. I just always felt like I didn't fit in. Sometimes that can play on you. So, Pamela, this has once again been a beautiful soul session, and I love
yes.
it. Thanks for sharing this time with me. This
Thank
impromptu.
you, thank you.
I mean, you know, this is just fun, and I'm grateful to share these conversations with everybody. And I also want to thank everybody, Lisa and Alicia and Jennifer, and just everybody who chimed in tonight and really brought, just really added to the conversation, because that's really been amazing. It's fun to do it like this, to hear from you, and always want to do that. So make sure that you comment. And thank you, Lisa, for watching on YouTube, and everybody who's watching on YouTube. I thank you so much. And
Thank
we're trying to grow
you,
that
thank
channel.
you. Yes.
Yeah, and y'all just remember that breakthrough hypnotherapy and Pamela Topjian is really giving the Recovery Soul Food community a beautiful, beautiful gift with a full free session. Meaning, you're going to get the consultation for free, the first 15-minute session for free, and a free session, full session. So that's, you know, that's 3 introductions, Pamela, and hypnotherapy. And I'm sure in that whole situation, you're going to see where it really can work for you. Listen, we didn't get to those deep seated belief systems overnight. We're not going to get out of them overnight. But, you know, as you're working in your everyday inner work, having someone like Pamela who can go in deep and speak directly to your subconscious mind, just, I mean, has every little toy in your toy box, as Philosophy 101
Right.
would say. So y'all stick around. I made a special video that may answer some questions on how you can find Pamela and how you can hang out with me, LC. And once again, Pamela, you've been an amazing guest and friend.
Thank
I'm
you,
so
thank
grateful
you.
for you.
Me
And
too, I feel the same, absolutely.
thank you. I
Very.
can't, it's just gratitude, 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 gratitude for this friendship. I'm a blessed human being, and I know it. So I love you all so much. Y'all hang out. Make sure that you watch to the end of the video so that you know where to find Pamela. And until Wednesday morning, I will see you all later. Bye, Pam.
Bye.